What's up guys, my name is Ace, and one mechanic that's confirmed to be returning with Modern Warfare 3 is reload canceling, or the ability to cancel your animation mid-reload and just get back to firing your gun with whatever ammo you had in the mag before you initiated the reload. And now that we've had almost a full year of playing with the new staged reload system in Modern Warfare 2, I wanted to share my overall thoughts on this topic and which one of these reload systems I feel is superior within the context of Call of Duty multiplayer. And just before I started recording this video, I threw a poll up on Twitter, or I guess they call it X right now, asking which style of reload system you prefer, and so far pretty early on here, reload cancel is winning by quite a large margin. So if you want to voice your opinion on that and you want to be able to vote in that poll, I will leave a link to that poll in the description of the video. And while you're there, a follow is always appreciated. But diving right in, since staged reloads have been available for almost a year now in Call of Duty, and we've had plenty of time to play around with them, I did want to share what I consider to be the pros and cons of this reload system. And let's start it off with the pros. You could argue that it's a more realistic way to reload your gun. If you pull that mag out and drop it in real life, and you don't have time to grab another mag and put it in your gun, and we'll say it's on a sling for instance, you could drop your primary weapon, unholster your pistol, and you're ready to go. And then when you reholster your pistol, obviously that mag that you threw on the ground isn't going to be magically in your primary weapon. You'll have to finish off your reload. In saying that though, something I pointed out early in the game's life cycle is at least with many of the reload animations, it wasn't really all that realistic because you couldn't cancel a reload even if the mag was still in your hand and right next to the mag well of the gun. Because there, if we were looking at a real life situation, the most efficient thing that you could do is simply pop that mag back in since it's right there anyway, and you'd be able to start firing immediately. At the end of the day, when it comes to that argument though, with realism, this is Call of Duty we're talking about. It's not really designed to be a milsim, it's never really been the most realistic shooter out there, and its gameplay identity is much more arcadey than realistic. And therefore, at least for me, the realism argument doesn't hold a lot of weight here. But ignoring the realism argument, there are some gameplay related pros to stage reloads as well. One of them is for guns with really long reload times, like LMGs for instance. Staged reloads can be great. If you get like halfway through your 6-second reload time, and 6 seconds is quite a long time within the context of Call of Duty multiplayer. If you get like halfway through that reload and you can hear an enemy coming or you know an enemy is about to be coming, you can swap over to your pistol, deal with that enemy, and then when you swap back to your LMG, that state of your reload was saved, so you don't have to restart from scratch with that really long reload animation. You can just pick up where you left off and finish off the reload. Additionally, I think staged reloads make a lot of sense for empty reloads, where you fired every round in the mag and in the chamber, and so at that point there's no utility to reload canceling anyway, because even if you did reload cancel, there's 0 bullets for you to fire, so it's pointless. So in that case, staged reloads make the most sense for the gameplay as well. Additionally, there is an argument that having staged reloads provides a lot of extra utility to having a pistol on your class setup. And many would argue that that's a good thing. It's a good thing that that pistol actually means something on your class setup, rather than just being something that's there and you don't really need to use all that often unless you completely run out of ammo on your primary weapon. As for some of the cons of the staged reload system, going off of that last point that many consider to be a pro where pistols have a lot of value, on the flip side of that, many people would argue that pistols are far more necessary now and you feel the need to run a pistol, which makes for less variety in secondary weapon choice. If you have no ability to swap over to a pistol if you happen to get caught reloading, then you just have to accept your death, and therefore the idea of running a launcher to help your team out by shooting UAVs down or other streaks down for instance, that's going to feel a lot less attractive to run, and many people would see that as a con because there's less team play simply because staged reloads exist. Additionally, the introduction of staged reloads essentially eliminated the ability to reload cancel, which many players would argue is a skill in a Call of Duty game. If you happen to get caught mid-reload, you have that feeling of full control over your character where you can cancel that reload animation, get yourself back in the fight, and potentially fight back. And without having reload cancel available, there can be that feeling of a disconnect with your character and a feeling of helplessness, especially if you aren't running a pistol. If you want to be a team player and run a launcher, you have that feeling of helplessness, like you just kind of have to accept the fact that you're dead when you get caught in an unpredictable scenario. And then finally, another con I wanted to touch on here is staged reloads do tend to slow the gameplay down to a small degree. I know there's many other more important factors that slow down the gameplay, but when it comes to staged reloads, if you have to be planning out your reloads a lot more, you have to be a lot more careful about your reloads, that often means completely disengaging, backing off, finding a really nice safe area to get a reload in, before pushing forward and re-engaging, whereas with reload cancel, you can reload on the fly much more effectively, knowing that if an unpredictable situation arises, you have the ability to at least try to cancel your reload and fight back. So at the end of the day, there's definitely pros and cons, and it has polarized many people in the community. I know there's many people that are absolutely dead set on loving stage reloads, and then there's many people on the other side as well. But which style of reload takes more skill overall? Well, I don't think the answer is super black and white here. I think it's pretty clear that each style of reload will reward a different set of skills. Obviously, staged reloads, if you have no ability to cancel that reload, and if you do get caught reloading, you're in a much more difficult situation. This style of reload tends to reward more preparation and planning. You have to be very thoughtful about when you're reloading. You've got to try to make sure you're in a safe situation before you activate that reload, because if enemies do catch you off guard while you're reloading, your chance of survival, even with a pistol if you're playing against half-decent enemies, is quite low. Whereas on the flip side of that, if you don't have stage reload and you have the ability to cancel your reload animation and very quickly get back in the fight and return fire against your enemy, this style of reload rewards faster reaction times and the ability to really quickly adapt to dynamic situations. And this at least gives you a much more realistic chance of fighting back against the enemy player. So when comparing these two reload styles, like I said, they just reward different skill sets. However, within the context of Call of Duty multiplayer, I feel reload cancel is far better suited to this style of gameplay. And this is for a variety of reasons, but one of the big reasons is COD multiplayer is a very fast-paced game with instant respawns and very dynamic gameplay that's often going to lead to situations that can't be reasonably predicted. Quite a bit can happen within the roughly 1.5 to 2 seconds that it takes to reload most guns in the game, and with the average time to kill in Call of Duty being roughly 200 milliseconds, you can get killed like 10 times over by the time you complete a reload. And since things can change so quickly and enemies can spawn just around the corner from you, for instance, proper preparation and planning that's rewarded with staged reloads, it can only take you so far in Call of Duty. You may be the smartest player out there, and with all of the available information at the moment, it may be the absolute perfect time to reload your gun, but as I said, a whole lot can change within that 1.5 to 2 seconds in Call of Duty. Enemies can cover quite a bit of ground in that time. Enemies can also instantly respawn in a fairly close proximity to you. That happens quite often. And so even with perfect planning and preparation, there are going to be plenty of situations that are outside of your control, and in my opinion at least, you shouldn't be essentially completely screwed for that unpredictable situation, and you should at least have a chance to try to fight back. And something I think some people fail to consider is even with a reload cancel, that still takes time. It's not something that just automatically happens instantly. It still takes time to cancel that reload, and in my opinion at least, if you're taking an enemy off guard who's mid-reload and they have time to cancel their reload animation and then return fire and kill you, you 100% got outplayed and deserve to lose that gunfight. I think having that reasonable ability to fight back in an unpredictable situation allows for more skill expression than the alternative, which is swapping to a pistol. Because like I said, unless you're playing against enemies that have horrible aim or horrible reaction times, having to swap to a pistol mid-reload is going to be resulting in your death almost every single time against a half-decent enemy, because you can be killed 2 to 3 times over by the time you swap over to that pistol and get your first shot off. So at least in my opinion, and I think there is room for debate on this point, I think having the ability to reload cancel rather than having to swap over to a pistol puts you at a more appropriate disadvantage for getting caught reloading with how fast and dynamic COD's gameplay is. And that's really the key here. I think staged reloads are excellent in other styles of games, especially slower paced, more methodical games where situations can be predicted a lot more reasonably and things aren't quite as fast and dynamic. Because in those situations, I think it really does pay to reward people with proper preparation and planning, because they should be able to prepare and plan for situations a lot more consistently than you can within the pacing of Call of Duty's multiplayer. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on this now that we have had almost a year of playing with staged reloads. Now, I do want to be clear here, even though I do have some strong opinions and I prefer reload canceling over stage reloads, it's not like it's been a deal breaker for me or anything. Sure, it's led to a few deaths here or there that felt like I was kind of in a helpless state, and it's a bit frustrating, but it wasn't the end of the world. I generally adapted to stage reloads just fine. I made sure every single one of my class setups had pistols. I never used launchers. I never shoot down UAVs, which is a bit unfortunate, but hey, that's what the game encourages, so that's where I went with it. But this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. For Call of Duty's 6v6 multiplayer experience, Which style of reload do you prefer? Do you like Modern Warfare 2's staged reload system, or do you prefer the ability to reload cancel like we're going to be seeing with Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.